Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 20th and best episode of the Hashcast. I am your host, the Hashtagonist, and tonight I have a guest who is, as always, way cooler than me, and in this case, also 59,736 times more popular than me. But that's just comparing YouTube numbers, but who's counting? Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Baldino. How are you, Jake?
Hey, what's up? I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you have come on my show officially. Now, there's a good chance that everybody who's listening to this or watching this already knows who you are. But just for my old mom who has no idea who all these internet people are, like, who are you and what do you do, Jake?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Exactly.
What I do, I'm a video producer. That's what I call myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on YouTube now for 6 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, right now I'm the lead producer, executive producer for the GameRanks YouTube channel. I lead a couple guys over there. We make videos and have fun, and then I'm also a podcaster. I have a podcast called Because Video Games with my best friend. It's just us chatting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have my own channel. So basically, I'm a professional talker about video games. That's what I've started to call it.
Yeah, that's pretty much a dream probably for everybody listening here, because you're not just a small-time YouTube video game talker, because I have seen you grow in like even the last year or maybe the last 2 years. Like it exploded.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up with. It's crazy. I'm really grateful and blown away by it, but it's also really, really hard to keep up with and scale with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been an experience. It's been fun. I've been learning a lot. GameRanks is now way bigger than I ever thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, it was like a little small job. Got a little bit of PayPal on the side.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
now it's my gig.
Like I've heard your story, kind of how you rolled into the whole game ranks thing. But I think it's such a fun story because didn't this all just start with a tweet?
Yeah.
Like what happened?
So their editor at the time, he put out a tweet saying, "Hey, GameRanks is looking for someone to head up their video content." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I had been slowly putting my resume out there. I had a demo reel. I had been doing stuff with my friends. I had my channel, so I had wanted to get out there, and I really wanted to have a games industry job. But I really liked doing the creative stuff, doing the YouTube stuff, and having fun. So I thought video was where to pursue. So I had been applying to places, and then when I saw the GameRanks suite, I said, "Oh, okay." So fired off an email with my resume and a reel, and they called me back like that day and had an interview, and then they hired me and gave me a blank YouTube channel. They said, "Here you go. Don't worry about the website. This is the YouTube channel. Let's figure it out."
That is so cool. Because I before we recorded, I went all the way back to like one of the first videos, and I'm not sure. I couldn't like lock down your first video, but the one where you have your face up is like a giveaway. Was that the first one that you did, or is that just no longer archived there?
One of the first ones giveaways. I remember the first video I did was about Grand Theft Auto. It was a news video, a rumor about Grand Theft Auto possibly having a zombie mode.
Okay.
Like Undead Night.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, "Hey folks, it's me, Jake. I'm talking about video games on GameRanks now." And I was super nervous, but I had built that whole setup by myself with a piece of plywood and spray paint.
Oh yeah.
And I saved it. I saved that piece of wood that's the backdrop. Like it's really big, but I cut it in half, and now I like bring it with me everywhere.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. No, I think the video that I watched was the giveaway, and even till today, you are using a freeze frame from that video in Before You Buy.
Yes.
It's you in the suit with the hands out. That's the first video I could find of you. But that was like about 4.4 million subscribers ago.
Yeah.
Like, do you have an idea of what happened to that channel? Was it just natural growth? But in the last year, it like almost doubled, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of natural growth. It was us figuring out the algorithms and figuring out how to play the game, a mix between, playing smart, but also seeing what people wanted to talk about. We looked at what popular stories were, what the most popular games were. Not even just one thing that I thought we did kind of differently is we didn't just look at like stuff that was popular on N4G or like what people were complaining about. We looked like what games were actually selling the most.
Okay.
And factor that in too, because we're like, that means there's a guaranteed install base.
Yeah.
You know, if 10 million people buy FIFA every year, then we have to be able to get some of those people to watch videos, even if they're not hardcore gamers. They'll probably come around if they see our stuff in search. Yeah. So it's a lot of that. And the Friday show has been a big thing, which is cool. The Friday show is like me yapping on camera, talking about all the news of the week. Yeah. That's where we have the most fun. That still seems to be the place where the most amount of views comes from. And that's also where community building started. That's where we were able to, you know, start getting people to come around regularly and not just because they saw something in search or they saw a cool thumbnail. Yeah. So now we're trying to build that out more. That's like my new goal. That's like my 2018, 2019 goal.
Okay. Well, that's pretty sweet. And now you have your own channel. I think it's just called Jake Baldino.
Yes. Yeah, that's been my baby forever.
Yeah. And that is just you. Like, that is your brand, your production.
Yeah. I've always treated that like just kind of vlogging, but not holding a camera in front of my face. Like, I have a camera set up pointed at me, but I always treated it like that. It was like when I wanted to just turn on the camera and yap. That's what I do there. That's good because that's like where I can curate a smaller group of folks. There's a lot of really great people that hang out over there, and I can really lay into things and talk how I want to talk and not worry about the wrath of 4.5 million folks. That, and plus that's always the thing that I've struggled to find time for, which kills me. As Game Ranks gets bigger and bigger, like I always like, I gotta like put that on the side burner. But it's also where I still have the most fun. I guess because it's my own completely.
Yeah, that's pretty. I saw that, and even that like blew up pretty much immediately. I think it probably helps that you have an install base and then move that over. But every time I see you work and I see what you produce, it's like it seems so natural for you. But is that a learned skill, or do you have a background with? You said you had a demo reel. Like, what do you base all this experience on?
I guess like I forced myself to do it. I started at, I believe, 19. Okay. My friend and I set up a camera and we wanted to talk about Batman and Spider-Man and video games. But we were like already practically adults. So we were, as far as I was concerned, we were starting late. But we didn't have any equipment or anything. So we stacked up all the Harry Potter books on my bed. And then put the camera on there, like a crappy old camera that would fall down, and that's where we started. So from there, I had just started talking, and since then, I mean, that was when I was 19 or so, and now I'm 27, and I've been talking at a camera almost daily. So honestly, that's where I feel the most comfortable. I'm still not good at public speaking. I still get nervous on podcasts like this, but when I'm just in a room with a camera in front of me, I'm like, I feel like I can always do the best.
You are one of the best, I would say, because
thanks.
Like I've looked up to you. I knew you before because you said like you started late. Like I started like 35, so I'm like an old geezer compared to like some 90-year-old
That's not
kid.
bad. You could have started much later.
That's true. That is true. Bad. Like Marcus Beer, he's still doing it, so I've probably got a couple of years in me. But it was funny to me when I've known your work for a while, and then I got my own foot into the industry, and I met you, and you are still one of the most humble and nicest people that I've met in this industry, and you're huge. And you said you're still shy when it comes to like face-to-face podcasts. Like that's just so almost absurd to me. Like because you're a big name now. Like, how do you deal with going from, like, talking to a camera on a stack of Harry Potter books to, like, doing a meet and greet at PAX or being in the spotlight? Is like, how do you deal with that?
Basically be nervous all the time. But also, I guess approach it the same way I approach videos, where, like, you have to be real. You have to be real, you have to be authentic, or people... there's a disconnect immediately and people aren't interested. So I kind of have to be like that when I meet folks, out and about, whether it's a meetup or something. the first time we had like a large group of people to see us, that was wild. But I knew like, okay, I have to just be myself and give every single individual person I met the exact normal self of me.
Yeah.
Like, don't put on a show, because I'm not really like a showman. So like, don't put on a show. Don't try and be too like, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
And that is something I'm still coming to grips with in public.
Yeah.
When I meet people, my favorite thing to do is now, and I think it puts some people on the spot a little bit. But you know, if I'm ever in a store or the movie theater and I meet someone, I'm always really happy to meet them because it's like a real person, not just a commenter. I'm like, oh my God, you're real.
Yeah. I
feel like that's what I say the most. But I make sure I ask every single person I meet for feedback.
Yeah.
I always say like, you know, thank you so much, but so what do you want more of?
Yeah.
What do you like? What do you not like? Like, what do you want to see more of? Is there a type of game that you really like that we don't talk about enough? Like, tell me. And some people will tell me straight up. Like, some people will be like, oh, you should talk about MMOs more. And I'm like, all right, I'll try. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you should probably
really
talk
helps.
more about Dragon's Dogma. That's what I always say. But
how are the speedruns going?
Well, I'm still 5th in the world. I haven't really tested afterwards.
Look how humble you are. That's
because there's only 6 people in the
world.
world speedrunning Dragon's Dogma. So, but yeah, no, but it's fun. But I like how you still manage to be that humble and talk to everyone you meet, because I don't think I would ever get used to it. Like, I did one panel at PAX, and when I saw the lineup for the panel, like, I was like, oh shit, but then I realized, oh, they're not here for me, they're here because we're talking about Dark Souls. So that is slightly more manageable.
It's still an unbelievable feeling.
Like, it is very strange. Like, I don't think I'll get used to that. But we'll see if I ever get to do another panel, of course. But what is your, like, you're still growing. Like, I refreshed your YouTube channel, and like the numbers are still going up. Are you still setting goals for yourself, or where are you going with this?
The biggest thing for the channel, really fly by the seat of our pants a little bit, but we are trying to just make sure we can all make a living and expand the community. That's what I want. I want to build something out of it that's not just, wow, we got 1 million views last week. Holy shit. I'm really looking for, you know, more of when we do get to meet people. I want to embrace that. I want to kind of create, I don't know, like, I see what Kind of Funny does. I see what What's Good Games does. And I like to put my own spin on things. So I see that, and I'm like, why don't we work towards that? We already have people that are coming around, people that enjoy us. So why not embrace that and really give them what they want and have fun with them? That's it. That's all I'm trying to do. Like, I mean, we have Andrew and we have Tom in particular on the live show, and I want them to essentially have as much fun every day that I do, as I do.
Well, that's super doable. Are you getting more? I had Khalif Adams last week, and he said, like, he's just starting to get like the spotlight on things outside of his own show. Like, he gets to either promote other channels or gets to hold the mic on big shows. Are you getting those things right now, or like, how often do you get approached to be the big guy and to draw audience for other things instead of your own channel?
Not really.
No,
not really a lot. I don't know what it is. I think there's a part of me that doesn't put myself out there that much. I'm very much like focused on the grind, focused on the day to day. So sometimes I just don't have, like, I guess I just don't like look up and think about that stuff.
Okay.
I also think because I'm on the East Coast, maybe I get it a little bit less. And I don't know what I would do. I think all I really want to do is just like collaborate with more people. You know, go on more things, talk with more people, and even work with smaller channels. Smaller channels and more indie games. That's something we want to highlight on Game Ranks. We've been at the drawing board to figure out how we can do it like in a Game Ranks way, something that fits.
Well, lucky for you, you're on the smallest podcast I could find, and it's my own. So thank you for that. But no, I think it's interesting because, like, I love Greg Miller, but he doesn't have to host every single show. Like, they can call you every now and then, and that would be nice.
I also, like, I do feel like sometimes I don't. There are other people out there that I want to hear from that I don't think you hear from enough.
Yeah.
It's white guy with glasses. I can have so much fun, but there's lots of other folks that can do this as well. So
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
I'm not elbowing my way
No.
through anywhere, you know.
No, and yeah, like uplifting voices, and that's something I also wanted to touch with. Like, I've seen you work often with Able Gamers. For those who don't know what Able Gamers is, they are a charity that are basically creating custom controllers for people with disabilities, so everybody can play, that everybody can enjoy a game. How did you get in touch with that? Was it just Steven Spawn that reached out, or did you reach out to them? Because it's one of my favorite charities out there.
Yeah, it was really just something I could believe, like, get behind, I guess. I mean, I'm fortunate that I've never had, I haven't lost any family members to cancer or anything yet. But I just feel like with video games and with folks with disabilities, I genuinely have a feeling like I would like those people to be able to play games and have fun like I do, because I know they want to. So I was into it for that, and I had also just kind of had a natural rapport with Steve. And he came to me and was like, "Hey, you want to come by? We're setting up a thing." I believe it was upstate New York. He's like, "Hey, we're setting up an expansion pack in upstate New York," and that's where they essentially set up a small wing in a hospital with accessible controllers for people to use. They'll set up like a PC, an Xbox, all with the equipment, so more people can get their hands on them, or whatever they can get on. And seeing it in person was amazing. Like being able to just help set up, like plug in HDMI cables and download the software updates and learn about the equipment that people use to play games was so awesome. I was so hooked. And to be honest, that's all I've really been able to do with them so far. That already was a life-changing moment. So now I just try and be their cheerleader, tweeting for them. A lot of times we run sponsor spots on the Friday show here and there. They don't pay us or anything, but sometimes we don't have sponsors, so we'll throw in hey, this episode's brought to you by Able Gamers. Go check out what they're doing.
Well,
just because that's fun.
It's just that is great. Like I've had like great experiences with Able Gamers, and I don't think I've ever told this story on air. But when Steve came to Canada, I helped him out with the Abilities Expo here in Toronto. And that made such an impact on me to see and it was mostly kids that came by the booth because it was video games, and they had a game which was shooting comets out of the air, but it used eye tracking, so you only had to use your eyes, and if you would look at the comet, like your little rocket ship would shoot at it. So it was, for me, it was, oh, that's cool technology, it reads my eyes. But then this girl came in, she was in a chair, and she could basically only move her head and her face. And she couldn't play the game because the way we had it set up was too straight. So I grabbed the TV and held it up, so the scanner could read her eyes, and she played that game. I think for the first time in her life, she played a video game. And you could just see the joy in her face, and I like something cracked here, somewhere in this weird spot. But I was like, what they do is so amazing. So when I see a big channel like yourself helping them put their name out there, I think that is the best we can do as content creators, to use our platforms and our voices to uplift programs like this. But they are fantastic. I can see why you...
I was getting chills as you were telling me that story, because absolutely. Like, just when we set up ours, and then all of the people at the hospital were able to come in. For the hospital we set up, it was mostly adults. Didn't make a difference that they were adults. No. They came in and they were like, hell yeah, awesome. They were so excited, and that was so cool. Our schedules haven't really been able to line up setting up something else with Steve. But the bright side is Tom, our very own Tom, has kind of linked up and has been doing side gigs with them as well. And just seeing him, using his craft, honing his craft, helping them out, and having a little fun, like that makes me happy.
No, it's speaking of lining up schedules, like Steve, I try to get him on the show, but he's just too busy, that guy. So Steve, if you're listening, call me.
I know. Shout out to Steve. We still have to play games soon. I owe him a stream. We've been wanting to try and stream together, but my life has just been a little chaotic lately.
I hear you've been kind of busy, but I wanted to talk to you about something. It's kind of not personal, but like I said, like I followed your work, and you've had like a secret influence on my own content, because you probably still remember when we were in Montreal together. We were at the reveal party of Tomb Raider, and I had just started my show, not really knowing what shape or form was going to be. And we were just at the event and shooting the shit, and I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be. And you were like, you know what you're gonna be? You're gonna be the bartender of the game industry, because you get to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And then I was like, And first I was like, okay, I'm gonna gimmick the shit out of this with like the backdrop and the little towel. But that has formed my show in the last like 10 episodes so much that when I was like, okay, I gotta get Jake on the show because I have to thank him for that on air. But talking about like your influence, I think you have so many people looking at what you do. Like, how do you feel about the next generation of content creators? Like, what is the message that you want to put out there for those youngsters like myself who are just starting on not just how to become successful, but like what is important when it comes to a job like that?
For me, it's been big, especially with the PewDiePies and the JonTrons of the world, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, know that young people are watching, and you don't need to go for the low-hanging fruit, essentially. I feel like there's way too much complaining about things that aren't connected to video games.
Yeah.
I very much am a fan of consumer advocacy and stuff like that in the game industry, and talking about stuff like that, like loot boxes. Maybe they're a problem. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of when you search Battlefield 5 and you get thumbnails and thumbnails and thumbnails of how Battlefield SJWs ruining. It's just, it's not even political. It's just, that's not what I want to watch.
Yeah.
That's not what I go to YouTube for video games. That's not what I came to YouTube for video games, for community, for anything. It's the same thing with Star Wars. Yeah. It's the same thing with anything you really enjoy and you sought out a community.
Yeah.
So really, I just hope that there are content creators that there will be people that are equipped to do that. If you want to complain about the SJWs and what have you, by all means do it. But I do think that up and coming people need to realize that they don't have to do that if they don't want to. That is not the only topic. Like you don't have to be like a creator. You can be your own creator. And that's what I want to see more of. I want to see positivity. I want to see the joy of having fun. Like, one of my favorite things to talk about with games is fun factor.
Yeah.
And I feel like saying the word fun sometimes is something like you don't even really read in a lot of reviews or hear in game reviews. But I still take it from GamePro magazine. Yeah. Back in the day, I read every single issue, and they rated games. They had a fun factor scale. And that, to me, is still like the main reason why I do this. So I just hope that people don't lose sight of the fun of it. And
I like that. That's a good message. So kids, if you're listening, just don't forget to have fun. Speaking of, like, what is the funnest game that you've ever played then? You froze up there for 1 second, Jake.
Yes, I lost you.
So what's the funnest game you've ever played? Like, or what game provided the most fun to you?
Oh man. It's, two things come to mind for different reasons. First is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. The entire series. That, to me, is a game in terms of muscle memory and skill that you develop, and music, influence, culture at the time, all of it coming together and just being a really fun game, whether you're playing alone or with friends. I mostly played alone, but that to me is incredibly fun. But then on the flip side, I still think about constantly that game A Way Out. Did you play that?
No, I still haven't. I still have not played that.
So in one sitting, I played through it on the couch with my best friend. For those who you don't know out there, it's a game focused completely on the co-op experience. So it's a split screen game. The game is completely designed around you and a friend playing as two different characters and essentially going on this rollicking cinematic adventure that's, based on a lot of movies. And it was so much fun, not only because the game designed scenarios to get you shouting and get you laughing and having fun and tense moments, but also the fact that it's just kind of like The Room almost. Like it's a little goofy, it's a little hammy. The writing is awkward, but it's so bad that it's good, and you have a good time playing it. And as a 27-year-old man, I guess that's how old I am.
Yes, you are.
I keep forgetting. To have that again with a friend, kind of snapped me back into it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is still a thing. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
My best friend, who's been my best friend forever, played the game with me on the couch. We had a great time as older people.
Yeah.
And that to me is so much fun.
So you're older people now. You're still having fun with games. If you would look back to what do you think is the game? I'm not sure if you have a straight answer for this. What is the game or the experience that made you think like I want to become I want to do something in games. I want to become a part of this industry. Like, what made it so special for you that is what you went after?
A game in particular.
Well, maybe not a game, but maybe a thing, because you made a deliberate choice saying I want to be in gaming. Usually that stems from either a game or an experience, or like what was it that steered your career into this direction?
Partially realizing that I wasn't cut out for writing.
Okay.
I wrote for a while, wrote reviews, wrote news articles. But eventually I wasn't into it. It felt a little bit like a chore, and I wanted to just do the fun stuff. And also I looked at where things were going in terms of trends towards video, but also having an immense amount of respect for like Jeff Keighley, Adam Sessler, and seeing dudes like that and kind of being like, I want to do that. I don't know how. I can't get on TV, but as I was starting to look up to those dudes, internet video started to come up. And I saw that as my place to kind of do that. Be a talking head, so to speak. You know, like there's only so many of them. There's a lot of new guys that are coming up that are really excellent. But I still always go back to, Sessler, Keeley, Marcus, folks like them.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I talked about you and Adam Sessler. Cause you've always been around. I think everything I've done, your face has always been around with me as well. And I think it's just because there's so many people in the industry. But I think it's cool that you are one of those that has always been in my proximity. But I remember specifically, I wonder if you still remember that. I think we were at Dunkman's party after E3. It was the last day, and Sessler was there as well. And he was giving us sage advice, where he was like, the first thing you have to do is find a psychologist. And then and I was like, I was just listening
exactly the way he talks.
But like, so those are people that have been influential on yourself. Can you even imagine that someone is listening to you now and saying like, I want to be like Jake Baldino?
It happens sometimes, and I'm always like, oh no, no, don't be me. Find someone better. Like that's my like you have that like imposter syndrome type of thing. Like no, not me. No, never. But it's cool. And the problem I have is like not having the time to like take every single person under my wing, because that's what I want to do. And you can't always do that.
No,
but
fair enough.
I try and always tell people like, hey, start doing it. Do it now. There's like not to be like just do it like the meme, but there's I always get emails of like, hey, I'm in college and I want to pursue a job in the game industry, and I'm like, all right, while you're in college, you should be doing. You should be creating. You should be writing. You should be making something, even if nobody's watching it. You need to be honing some sort of craft, and that's what I try and always instill in people.
Yeah, and I also remember a conversation between us because I was just into writing, and you were like, no, you should probably look into video, and if you have any questions, just hit me up. And I was like, it took me a while to get into video because it's so much more complicated than just going into WordPress and doing your thing. But I think it was interesting that how, I'm not saying you were one of the first, but how well you saw that trend going to video, get on board, and now being one of the most, probably one of the most successful channels, I would say, when you look at sheer numbers.
It's weird to say that, like, we, in terms of numbers, at least on YouTube, not overall, but on YouTube, we stack up to GameSpot.
Yeah,
which is wild.
That is wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And it's your face out there all the time.
Yeah.
I always joke around with you when you're not on a guest list, and at E3.
I'm like famous for not being on
the list. Yeah, but it's just so funny to me. Like you've done so much, and you have the numbers, but like I said, I never see you on stage, and I think it would be good to have that every now and then. But maybe just promote yourself, man. Like that, you come on the Hashcast, you never know what doors open.
You never know, honestly. You know what I really like doing with What's Good Games on the E3 live stage, the GameSpot live stage. I did that.
Oh yeah, you did that this year, eh?
Yeah, I was nervous. I was really nervous because there was like an audience and it was live. Incredibly nervous, but I also felt like, man, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't like sat down and like rapped it out with new people.
Yeah.
And they're such a good crew. It felt so natural.
Yeah.
And now I'm like in the pursuit of wanting to do more stuff like that.
Yeah. Who would be on your list to work with? I'll put in a good word.
This is really dumb. Today, in the office, we were kicking around Ice-T.
Oh yeah. Well,
all he does is tweet about being a gamer.
Yeah, like he does like 3 tweets a day.
He's got stuff to say. We got to hear him. The people need to hear him.
Yeah. I'm sure you could reach out to Ice-T.
I thought about it. I'm like, what if? I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, right?
No.
But in realistic terms, it's like I would love to do something with Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
I'm such a fanboy, because not only is he like, I'm really a fan more of like what he does behind the scenes in terms of an actual producer.
Yeah.
As someone who runs a crew of just like 4 people.
Yeah.
What he does seems like this amazing thing. Like he's a maestro. So I would love to do something with him because I also respect him as a journalist and a writer because that's where he started. And I remember reading his words. Like he would break down the final hours of the development of the last Metal Gear games, the earlier Metal Gear games, and I would love to pick his brain about that type of stuff.
Jeff Keighley is one of the few people that I still feel uncomfortable with, like approaching him. Like him and Phil Spencer, I think I've walked by them at E3 like several times, and I went like, not yet. Like, maybe next year. Have you ever had contact with him at all with Keighley?
Yeah, there was. It's funny because I've had both worlds. So I saw him. I went to the live taping of the Xbox One announcement reveal. They did it in Times Square, and they needed seat fillers.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, $20, and you get a hot dog, and you get to sit and be in the audience for Jeff Keighley to reveal the thing.
Yeah.
And I saw him walking out at the end, and I was like, hey, Jeff, great show. And he was like, thanks a lot, buddy, and just kept walking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was so cool. And then I ran into him at E3 this year because we had communicated a little bit here and there, about game ranks and about the video game awards and like because we are judges in it now.
Okay.
And I saw him this year on the metal detector line.
Yeah.
And he was like, Jake, how are you? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. That is funny.
So it's very much the thing.
Yeah.
I believe your last guest said it best when he was like, I look around the room sometimes and I'm like, how did I end up here? That's how I feel all the time.
It's funny because not this E3, the E3 before when Keighley did the Coliseum, I think for the first time, like he doesn't notice that I was involved in his show, because back then Neil Blomkamp was doing Oates, his series, and he was going to announce one of his shows on Coliseum. But behind the scenes, me and my friend Steven Blomkamp, we were helping him out to navigate his way through the gaming industry because he had no idea.
Yeah.
So we're in an email chain, and he sends an email saying, okay, who's Jeff Keighley? Should I know Jeff Keighley? And we're like, yes, you should enter his email. And that's how he set up to do his reveal at the Coliseum. But if I would walk into Jeff Keighley, I would have no idea who I am. I was like, you have no idea how much I helped you with your Coliseum show, Jeff Keighley. But yeah,
he gave him the big scoop.
Yeah, I had the big scoop, but I couldn't tell anyone yet. That was too bad. So I would love to see you work with Jeff Keighley, trending gamer, but I think that should go to a non-white guy for a change. who doesn't milkshake duck right after two
Right
episodes after it.
like immediately. Yeah.
Immediately, every single time. Well, not every time. But I think I think he's gonna change it this year. He responded to one tweet I made one time saying, "Yeah, we might look into ambassadors more than."
Yeah, he seems pretty transparent about like understand. Like he doesn't not listen. Like he knows what people are talking about, even if he doesn't acknowledge a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that, especially because Twitch streamers is still very much a new thing.
Yeah.
It's almost where I'm starting to feel.
Yeah.
Like I am a writer looking at YouTubers.
Yeah.
Now it's shifted, and I'm the YouTuber looking at the hot
Twitch
streamers.
Yeah, is that something you're looking into getting more active there?
Here and there. There's also a part of me, and this is going to sound kind of I don't know how it's going to sound, but I like playing games alone.
Yeah.
And silently. I'm not good at entertaining while playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not that good at games.
Yeah, that's my problem.
I'm just not that good.
Yeah.
And now, especially more than ever, with Ninja and Dr. Lupo and Dr. Disrespect, is that there is a proven market for. You don't have to be the most amazing, wacky guy or a comedian or an amateur actor. You just have to be good. People are coming to just see good shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just do more live production.
Yeah. Well, I think that's way cooler. Like I have the same problem. Like I tried because I had some extra time on my hands this summer, and I said, okay, I'm gonna stream the game that I truly love, Dragon's Dogma, and like there's only 3 people that love that game, so like audience wise, it wasn't super cool. But I have to say, the people that did show up, I really appreciated that. Even though it's like 5 viewers, they came and consistently. Like I would do an hour and a half, and then the next day they were there saying, did I miss anything? And I can see how that is very interesting for some people. But I'm not sure if I'll ever super get used to it. Like I'm just getting into the video. Like this is the 2nd episode where I have an overlay, and I'm like, I have an overlay now.
Hell yeah,
that's super good, cool. So no. Not even like a live show on Twitch, because it doesn't have to be gaming nowadays anymore. Like they open it up for everything.
So we have we've been doing our live talk show, our extremely non-problematic, advertiser-friendly live show. That's what I've been pitching it as. Yeah. We've been doing that on Twitch, sort of like a beta. Yeah. We've ultimately decided to move to streaming on YouTube primarily because that's where our base is. As much as I'd like to gamble in both places, it seems smarter to have the hub on YouTube and then possibly, if our bandwidth provides, stream to Facebook, stream to Twitch, like how IGN or GameSpot does it. They have specific streams on a platform, but they're broadcasted everywhere regardless. So if we could eventually do that, that's what I want.
Well, that'd be cool. I think you'll probably find a format that works, because you seem to have a good eye on what works and what doesn't work. So, like you say, you don't have to do everything on Twitch, but it will be additional revenue stream, I guess, if you start pulling in subscribers. That must be.
Definitely.
Well, I'm not sure if it's more profitable on YouTube, because like I can't even imagine what you can do with numbers like you have. But if you can split the fan base there, like that must be interesting, because I see some channels like Easy Allies, which I'm a big fan of. They do a lot on Twitch, but primarily it's YouTube shows, and but they're raking it in there as well. So
yeah, we're still, we're open to a lot, especially because we still operate very small.
Yeah.
So it's like we're trying to build out these things, but we still all have our daily commitments. We still have to get the regular stuff out. We put out a video every day.
Yeah.
And we have to adhere to that. We have no backup person. We have no extra person. So it's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
But we think about everything.
So you are working for GameRanks, but it's basically all you and your team, right?
The video side is, yes.
Yeah.
With the other publisher, the owner of GameRanks, he works as well. He likes to just get his hands dirty. He likes video, like I like video, content creation. And then we have a voiceover freelancer in the Midwest.
Okay.
And
So, but there's no worry that all of a sudden GameRanks is going to say, okay, we're going to sell you to Defy Media or Vox or whatever the big boys are.
There is, but I'm in the room for those
Okay.
talks, which is great.
Okay.
Like it's good. Like I feel like I have a decent amount of control.
Yeah. Because that's another thing that sometimes surprises me when you look at some of the biggest content creators, like a Funhouse, Kind of Funny is pretty self-sustaining, but it always seems there's this huge production behind the scenes, and then you have your channel, which has maybe better numbers or bigger numbers, but it's just like a couple of guys in an office in New York. Like, how are you gonna scale that, if at all?
All we're really trying to do right now is make it so we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So we've really been running primarily on AdSense.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, eventually with building a community, the plan is to hopefully get more, appeal more to sponsors and advertisers and be able to have, more brand deal type of stuff, typical YouTube creator stuff. And, maybe if people want cool hats or t-shirts, we'll consider that too, because that could be fun. And hopefully if that stuff starts to ramp up, then we'll have no choice. Then we will then we will literally, the door will be falling down.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Really cool. It's I can't wait for you to like become even bigger and get all the personality out there in the world. And then I think this is a good start what you're doing right now. Like I said, man, you come on the Hashcast, and both my viewers are going to be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to subscribe to Jake Baldino's channel."
Hey, every subscriber, anyone I meet, I told my daughter about your channel. I'm like, thank you. That's one more eyeball. That's one more pair of eyes.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a world, and like I said, I'm just getting my feet wet, and I'm glad that there are people out there who are like a positive role model in the YouTube world, and I think you touched on that before as well. But no, I think what you're doing is great, and I like hearing about what you're planning, even though it's just scaling. Do you have anything major coming up soon?
What do we got going on? So we are starting to roll the live show onto YouTube proper. So that's where it kind of gets bigger.
Yeah.
We're going to have more commenters. We're going to have different features available to us through YouTube. And that's where the party really possibly begins. Not only that, we are doing a convention in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're doing a small one. We're going to try and do a little live version of our show.
Okay.
I've been to this convention before. Richard Mitchell, formerly of Joystick, puts it on. So I think that could be a lot of fun, especially because usually it's me. I just go to these things. Yeah. But now they were able to bring out Tom and Andrew.
Yeah.
And that to me, that makes it, because I'm tired. I don't always want it to be all about just me.
No.
I like working with other people. I also like being able to look back and plan something and watch two other people execute it and have fun, and I can be like, wow, I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling that a lot with Tom and Andrew lately.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just hoping for more of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think I've met Andrew, but Tom is a fantastic person. I've talked to him often. He's for some reason the guy at my first E3 that I ran into 17 times a day, which was very weird because sometimes you don't meet anyone. But him and his Hawaii shirts, I guess, always kind of
he's an easy target to see.
Yeah, he is,
because he's always running around working. Yeah. So. It's good.
I think I'm not sure if you want to touch on that, but because the story how he got involved with your work, I think that's hilarious too.
Yeah.
Can you tell it? Sorry, probably better than I can, but
how do I explain it? I ran into him at E3.
Yeah.
And at a bar, and then I had run into him at home. At a Starbucks, a local Starbucks he worked at. And I was like, oh, that guy, yeah. And then as GameRanks started to be we started to be like, okay, maybe we should set up a little office out of your basement, and maybe get somebody else to help part-time. I was like, who? who? Because I'm not close enough to the city
Yeah.
to access that pool of people.
Yeah.
No one would commute out of the city for a part-time job.
No.
So I'm like, who's around me? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that guy at Starbucks with the silly hair, the cool hair, you know? That's it. And yeah, I hit him up and I was like, hey, you want to like do this? And he was like, okay. And that's it. And now it feels, it's been a long time, but it still feels like every day is like we just started.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think just the whole story of your success and of your channel is just so funny. Like, you replied to a tweet, you run into Tom at a Starbucks, and now you're running such an awesome channel. So before we bring this all to conclusion, I always like to ask, 10 years from now, like at some point we're gonna become slightly less relevant in our old age. What do you hope that people take away from all the work and all the effort you've put in? Because we put on a lot of effort. Like, you give a lot to yourself. What is going to make it all worth it in the end for you?
In all honesty, I still don't think I've figured that out.
Yeah.
I know I felt something in me lately. I want to put something out that isn't daily content. Mm-hmm. Every day, hey, it's me. That's great.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are people who listen to the same radio host in the car every day for hours and hours, and they like get a relationship with that person.
Yeah.
So I do have that with people, but I also want to be able to leave behind something where I'm like, I made that, like from beginning to end, like 4 volumes. I made that. Yeah. A series, a documentary. Something fun. I'm kicking around a lot of ideas with my friend.
Yeah.
But I definitely I just want something that isn't content that eventually evaporates. I want something to be like, I made that, and 10 years later I can go, yep, I made that. I remember when I made that. It wasn't just a video about Grand Theft Auto. It was something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
getting a couple of no clip vibes here, Jake. Is that something you would like to do?
God, he's an incredible influence as well.
Yeah. Daniel Dwyer, for those who have no idea what we're talking about. Yeah.
He's been so good because like I watched all of his videos on GameSpot, but after No Clip, it was like unleashed.
Yeah.
I would, again, like I would like to give my own spin on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I like making people laugh, but I'm not that funny. I like making people learn a little bit, but I'm not that smart. So I'm trying to find like a good medium, a good thing. And figured that out yet. And I don't know what I'm going to look back at 10 years later.
Yeah.
Still excites me.
Yeah.
Like I'm still hungry. I still want to learn. I still want to teach people.
Yeah.
If I can help people.
Yeah.
God, I could write a book. I mean, when you brought up before splitting an audience.
Yeah.
Audience retention, like you can write a whole book about how to transfer an audience from one place to another, because it's like it's not black and white.
No,
there's so many little things.
I would totally read that.
That was
if you would write it, I would read it immediately.
God, yeah, I was gonna write a book at one point.
Yeah,
just full of silly little side stories. I put that on the back burner, but
yeah. Hey, well,
that's not even over there.
I think there's a market for it, man. For video game industry books, I think a lot of people are getting more and more appetite to not just learn about the games itself, but how games are made and what you're doing, what like the peek behind the curtain. I find it personally very interesting, and I'm pretty sure there's more people like me. So you never know what you're sitting on.
I'm really looking for. I'm hoping for more. I mean, the topic of conversation lately has just been about creators burning out.
Yeah,
and the fact that right now there are kids that like this is what they want to do. When we were growing up, maybe it was like you wanted to be a professional basketball player or you want to be in a band.
Yeah.
Now for a lot of kids, it's to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I just I always think about that next generation when they come into this.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can do it differently.
Yeah. Well, I think that is interesting because when we talk about like everything to do work-life balance. I worry about content creators often. Like people like you kind of have enough professional background to make this work, long term, short term. But something what I worry about is these Twitch streamers, and not the ninjas and the top guys, because they make enough money to last a lifetime. But it's the kids that are just making like $5,000 a month, who are thinking they're shit. They get flown around, they go to conventions, but when their bubble bursts, maybe 5-6 years from now, they might have dropped out of school, they might have paused their career, and I'm not sure how we're gonna catch those kids. And I think that would be a very interesting topic to look into. Like, I'm not gonna write it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would even like to talk to students.
Yeah.
Go to a high school and be like, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like this, don't let your parents say you can't do it.
No.
But you need somebody to tell you that it's very hard work, and you have to do it right.
Yeah.
So many people, like when we started doing it, there was no rule book. There still isn't really a rule book.
No.
It's still the Wild West in a lot of ways. But eventually, it's not going to be. And the only way it can be like that is if the people who made the mistakes can, set things in motion a little better for the future.
Talk about it.
Because burnout, especially with streamers.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked myself sick before. Especially with this type of job, whether it's YouTube, production, podcasting, streaming, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
So if you're dedicated and also you got something to prove or you need to eat, you're going to put in as much as possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes to your detriment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my personal problem with that is that I'm always on. Everything that happens, like, okay, that could be turned into content, or that would be a funny tweet, or like, who's going to be my next guest? And that is something I'm really having to pay more attention to nowadays. So like content creators.
Well, I mean, think about it too. You're always on. I'm always on. I've told you before, like how I've learned to kind of embrace turning off my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not often, but I love it.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about that. I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with that. Pardon me. It's late.
Logging off, I think, is where we're going for, like the balance between being always on and.
It's just, you have to, and especially for what I was gonna say is, think about our generation where I grew up not on the internet.
Yeah.
I grew up not with a cell phone, but younger people have grown up attached to a cell phone.
Yeah.
So I feel like for them, turning off is even harder.
Yeah.
So when it will be attached to possibly your job or your livelihood, the separation could be that much more intense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true.
It's a weird future.
It is funny how the kids are, like, I have my nephew over. He's 10. But like, he's 10. He knows who Ninja is because he plays Fortnite like constantly. They're so ingrained in the technology that we had to grow into, I guess. And when I was talking to him and he kind of learned about what I was doing, he was obviously super impressed. And then he was like, cool. I want to be the next ninja. I was like, okay, you have to understand that for every ninja, there's like 1,000 kids, probably more, like 10,000 kids that are not making it. But, you could. And his dad was like, well, I think you should just go to school. And I was like, you can do both. Like, go to school, do all the things, and then on the side, try to find your side hustle. But you're probably better off talking about video games than trying to become a professional gamer. But it's interesting. I think there's so much to do there, Jake, that you could. I can see you doing a documentary or a series on content creators, and kind of we've talked about writing a guidebook before. That would be so cool, Jake.
I know. You just whether it's a book or a parent, you need a support system.
Yeah.
With this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I would definitely read it, Jake. I think you would be a good person to do that because you have such a good success story, and you've had the struggles, you've put in the work.
I appreciate that, like, a lot.
Well,
I'd need an editor. I'd need a hell of an editor.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, I'm sure there's people who are jumping on that if you would put it out there. But what I appreciate most about you, Jake, like, despite all the success, you still have that kindness to you, because it must be so easy to become that, that.
I used to be worse. Firing off at people.
Yeah.
Saying things to get a rise.
Yeah.
Everyone had a period where they're like, "Oh, let me put out an edgy joke."
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You learn from that. I just decided that that's not what I want, because I like to. Maybe it's guilty, like maybe it's a bad thing, but I just like trying to make everybody happy. Sometimes to my detriment, and some people may not even like that I try to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Like for some people, that's a turnoff.
Yeah.
But that's how I've been trying to build content and how I put my face out there. I've made mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah.
You learn as you go.
Yeah.
But
still, like usually people like are, if they are like the snarky edgelord kind, and then you add success to the mix, it usually doesn't go the other way.
You
that gets
down.
Amplified. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for you to say like, okay, when I got successful, I actually got nicer. I think we could use a lot more people like that in this industry specifically.
Well, thank you. I'm not good at taking compliments. I don't know what to say.
That's what I'm there for. I'll cut out the blush there, Jake. So you already kind of touched on if you have anything big coming up. Are you going to PAX West, which is next week by the time this goes up?
No, I had to bail on that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, changes, game ranks changes, finance changes, life changes. I'm moving. I'm in the process of moving, so we had to bail out on that. It's a bummer, because it sounds like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there either, so I'm just going to be jealous of all the people that are going to go over there.
We'll just hang out here.
Yeah, but you got bigger fish to fry. If you're listening to this, you missed our pre-record banter about the orange wall behind Jake and how many layers and layers and layers of paint that takes. So
yes,
you're going to be quite busy for a couple of days, but it's cool. Like you're such a grown up now, Jake, with your own place.
Finally, I know. I finally moved out of my parents' house. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll ace this as well, because you seem to have the golden touch on everything you do.
If I ace it, you mean have strawberry ice cream for breakfast?
Yes,
killing it.
That is the best part of being a grown-up. You can do whatever you want. So I always end my show with a segment I call Podcast and Shill, where you can promote and anything you want. Your name has been on the screen this whole time. You can't see that, but I can. But what would you like to put out there, Jake? What are you proud of? What do you want to?
Instagram. I like Instagram a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's a great social media platform because it's just fun and easy. It's like, here's a picture.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. So Instagram.com/Jake Baldino is where you can find me. Just occasionally posting pictures, not spamming you, but just having fun.
Okay.
And then of course, because video games is really where I've been having a lot of fun. If you search Because of Video Games on all the major podcast feeds, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, etc., you can find us there. And it's two best buds talking about games and movies. The idea is to make it feel like you're in the room with us. And so far it's been a blast.
All right. Well, I'll definitely check that out. This episode is called Because Jake Baldino. And which has been floating over your head this whole time. And for me, I am the Hashtagonist, and you can find me on Twitter at the Hashtagonist and on patreon.com/the Hashtagonist, because that makes this show a lot cheaper for me to produce, and I really appreciate the support. So Jake, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I know it's a Thursday night and you probably had a long day, but I always enjoy chatting with you, and I can't wait for us to hang out again, hopefully soon.
I appreciate this. I needed this.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, it's always nice when you get to talk a little low-key, and I'm interested in your story because I think you have a great story in it, and you have turned me into the bartender of the gaming industry. So
it felt like it tonight. So.
Yeah, it's good. Like except we didn't have anything to drink, but I'll hopefully see you soon. And if you're still listening to the show, and if you're still watching, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.